Peace, peace, peace to the family. Peace to you and yours. Brother Boo, Portland live and direct. Brother Blue, Portland live and direct. Oh, let me turn this off. Peace, peace, y'all. Peace. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. Welcome back. Turn this on. Turn this off. Unplug. Peace. I'm feeling amazing actually. It's a lot going on. Peace to my brother Human, right? You guys are gonna see an amazing live in the next, hopefully within the next few days, if not few hours, with my brother Human. And I don't want to over inundate us with a conversation about problems, right? Human AI has a lot of solutions, and we need to start speaking on that. Shout out to my brother Soul Society NC. Is it hot in Atlanta? It's hot in Atlanta. Yes, it's hot in Atlanta. It's hot Atlanta, and the conversation around heat is interesting because the heat is hitting different, and 90 degrees now don't feel like 90 degrees last year. And I don't really know exactly how to explain that. It's a different density. It's almost like we exist in a different plasma field. You know what I'm saying? It's as if we exist in a different plasma field. Yes, I definitely, not only do I want to go back to New York and do New York tours, I want to do, New York hip hop tours. I want to do the New York conscious tour as well. Like, we can show you the history of the conscious community, how it emerged and evolved in New York. What are some of the pinnacle points? Because a lot of people know about Harlem. They don't know about the Brooklyn contribution to consciousness, of which LIU would be a main focal point. And then there's a place called the Paul Robeson Theater. I used to go to Morris classes there on Wednesdays. A lot of legendary things took place there. And, it's Brooklyn, so there's so many different places that we can go. Atlanta needs a historical tour as well. Like, not just the civil rights locations. There's a lot of things that took place in Atlanta. Atlanta's a very historical place, and the more that I'm here, the more appreciation that I have for this place. And there's a need and a necessity to kind of go and visit these places. A lot of these places still need work on them, spiritual work. You know what I mean? They still need us to be there to do spiritual cleansings, prayers for our ancestors, offering to our ancestors, because there's a lot of places that are still haunted, by the things that happened to our ancestors. There's still a lot of dispossessed spirits that are walking around and in Atlanta, in this realm, you know what I mean, that are still shell-shocked from things that happened to them. And that's not that I'm not being dismissive of Atlanta as a destination. I'm just saying that know that you're coming here and it's already history that's packed on top of packed, packed on top of packed, and there hasn't been a lot of work done necessarily to dissipate it on a spiritual level. There's still plantations that are set up here. You know what I mean? There's still trees that bodies hung from that are still here. There's still a lot of the racist institutions that were responsible for, the subhumane treatment of our people. They still exist out here. Atlanta may be a melanated city, but it's surrounded by the Klan, and the Klan are they're the ones that you pay rent to if you want to keep it tall. You know what I'm saying? They might not control the city, but they control the economics, which means that they have a large influence on the politics. And I don't want to say that Atlanta's a sham city when you see melanated faces, but it's like the Dallas Mavericks front office. You know what I'm saying? They packed the front office with a lot of diversity equality and inclusiveness, but that's not, is run by Miriam Adelson, who is the most ultra Zionist person on the planet. And it's the same with Atlanta, that, we have a tendency to think that it's a melanated city, but when you start getting into politics, when you start going to the Capitol, when you start getting into some of these back rooms, you know what I'm saying? You kind of see who runs things in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And it's political. You feel me? But that's not to be dismissive of the fact that, once again, it's a city that's in an enchanted forest on top of a mystical mountain, and we're here as a people. It's some amazing, beautiful people that are here. You know what I mean? So we always encourage the family that if you don't live here and you're not from here, you might want to visit. You know what I'm saying? You might want to pull up. And and for some people it may be a nice place to visit, but you wouldn't want to live here necessarily, right? Not necessarily. Some people will. Um, and that brings us to a open acknowledgement of the fact that we are. But yes, good luck on that. But you very well, you might meet your significant other here. You feel me? You very well may meet your significant other there. I pray for you. And me saying that I pray for you does not mean that it's impossible, right? Peace, peace, peace to my brother Fire Vibes, right? Fire, hopefully you pull up as well. Yeah, but there's a lot going on in Atlanta, and you know what I'm saying? I would just say be very mindful of the selection process, and you don't never want to select your significant other out of desperation. It always should be a spiritual connection. And because we live in an enchanted forest, things can be very illusionary here, right? Like the enchanted forest got the fairies and, the magic dust and things of that nature. Yeah, you kind of don't know what you're going to get until you know specifically what you're going to get out here. Trust me when I tell you. And you got a lot of competition because, the numbers is kind of crazy. It's like, these days it seems like it's like 15-1, because the men is not really, the men are in short supply, and then when you start dealing with criteria, it gets even a lot more thinner, right? You kind of want to be. I would imagine you want somebody that's conscious, that's productive, that's innovative, that's got his thing together. Like, yeah, when that criteria kicks in, it's gonna get shorter and shorter and shorter in terms of the pool of selection. But what we do want to acknowledge and celebrate is that there's going to be an opportunity for community to come together in the beginning of August 10th and 11th. Brother Rich is bringing the gathering of the masters to Atlanta, and there's going to be a convergence on the city of an amazing community and group of people, right? So, bar none, what I do know about that community, what I do know about his audience, because I have been interacting and interfacing with that audience outside of the computer at least since 2016, doing retreats in Mount Shasta and doing events, us going to Stone Mountain and the family coming out. That is a dynamic group of individuals. That's an amazing community, right? So I feel confident for the Atlanta community that they're going to get an opportunity to interact and interface with aspects and elements of the conscious community that may be coming from Black Magic 363. And that is in the beginning of August. So I also want to make a follow-up update. Me and Red did a show on Wednesday, I believe, on Black Magic. And I mentioned to people, because some people book their ticket and they don't have lodging as of yet. You know what I'm saying? Some people they just like, not necessarily we're going to wing it, but they, some people are waiting for things to fall together and what have you. And what I offered is that last weekend I visited a land in Stockbridge. It was an open expanse, an open land, right? And they were doing camping on this land. Shout out to my brother, Dr. Supreme Understanding. So I offered the idea that we can possibly offer lodging on the land, right? Camping for those 2 days. And people responded to that in a way in which I didn't know that they were going to respond. So people were very open to that experience, to have a camping experience. You feel me? During that weekend as well. And I've spoken to Supreme, and we are able to not only offer that accommodation, but it's going to be an expansive one as well, because there's also a house that he has available just for the, just in case people may not want to domicile outdoors, right, and get the fullness of the experience, because there was a good amount of women who responded. So I'm already going to take the initiative to say we're providing security for that situation, just so we can check the necessary boxes. You know what I'm saying? One thing you learn about being in the city of Atlanta, right? You learn about the courageousness of women, right? You learn about the courageousness of women, and I salute you all. You guys are warriors. You guys are trailblazers. You guys, are the engine behind community. You feel me? So I just don't get why we don't do the things that we're able and capable of doing for you. That's non-transactional, right? Just to salute your existence, just to salute your resilience, just to salute the fact that you push things forwards and you guys are doers. A lot of the men are thinkers, and these niggas is knowers. They got all the information in the world, but don't necessarily always act on it. You know what I'm saying? So I want to at least know in my mind that there's a security apparatus that's going to be installed. You feel me? And then sometimes you just got to get out of the way, because this is a mutual experience that we're all going on, but we all don't have the same experience. We all don't have the same walk. Somebody can come down here and be coming for a lecture and end up camping out in the woods and have that personal space and time that they need to release some things in their own personal life, to overcome their own personal stress, to have an appreciation, overcome their own personal fears, right? To get a renewed appreciation for nature, and they be like, you know what? I'm just tired of the city slicking. I think that I'm actually going to move here. You feel me? And I get you. Goddess Bahamama, that's specifically the energy that they move around with the city. And I don't want to interfere with that aspect and that level of freedom, because yes, y'all are free. Y'all are not fearful. You know what I mean? And because of that, I believe that the ancestors have walked with you guys and taken care of you guys. You know what I'm saying? So please don't allow my overthinking, you know what I'm saying, to be impeding upon your freedom. Black Ma'aha said, Black women have community no matter what. Black men, we were raised to be toxic and love Jesus. So in result, we have a lot of catching up to do to our counterparts. Yes. Oh, salute. That's a brother, Black Ma'aha. And you're right. We may be trivialized by our trauma. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that the melanated women don't have trauma, but it appears that they showed up because they want to work on that trauma. You feel me? Whereas melanated men, specifically in this community, you don't find out that they got to work on their trauma until it's time, and you find out that they got to work on their trauma. A lot of men are showing up, under the disguise that they've dealt with their trauma. A lot of men are showing up under the disguise that the trauma don't affect them until the shit affects them, and you find out at a time when you don't need to be finding out that this person is affected by their trauma. You know what I mean? And that's a plus and a, those things can be received either way, where they be like, damn, but the women is showing up and they're wearing their trauma on them. I don't necessarily agree with that. They're showing up because they're looking for healing. And if you advertise yourself as a healing community, you're gonna attract people that need healing. Right? Be prepared to serve those people who show up for healing, because you said that you are part of a healing community. Okay? So, we shouldn't trivialize the situation. We don't have to shame people that are showing up that need healing. If you're part of a healing community, be prepared to work on the trauma. But even the healer needs healing, and that's consistent. You know what I'm saying? That's very much consistent. So, long story short, family, I will be answering the DMs, the people who have reached out and inquired about the outdoor lodging for the weekend of August 10th and 11th. We're gonna get this thing together. She said came in late was the topic. There's gonna be a gathering of the Masters event here in Atlanta on August 10th and 11th, and I made an overture on the show on Black Magic's program on Wednesday, where I was telling people about the possibility for those that are coming into town and they don't have lodging, or those that are open and receptive to the idea of camping out for those 2 days, right? Which camping out means pitching a tent on the land, you know what I'm saying? Or if you got like a mini RV or something that you want to pull up. Shout out to my brother Choke No Joke. I saw his podcast last night, and he was speaking about an event that he's having in Georgia during Labor Day weekend, and he was saying it's a private event, but he was speaking to his audience, and he had the foresight to go and film in an RV camp village, or it probably was an RV camp. Here in Georgia and Atlanta, on the side of the highways, they be selling RVs. So you just see RVs for forever. It just goes rows and rows and rows. So he went and he showed you the RVs that you drive. He showed you the RV hatchbacks, and he also showed you Winnebagos, which would be vans that have been kitted and outfitted for camping experiences for you to live outdoors. So these joints is kitted and outfitted. Please, you're talking about not just camping, you talk about glamping when it comes to how they have outfitted these RVs. These joints look like not just regular homes on wheels. They look like, luxury homes on wheels these days. You feel me? It's almost kind of like you're cheating. Like, are you really getting the outdoor camping experience if you rolling like that? Because it's very much accommodating. It's very much a comfort factor. And he was showing that, and yeah, it was given, because I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? People would be hella comfortable in a situation like this. But some people want to go, they want to rough it. They want to hit the terrain. You know what I'm saying? They want to hit the terrain, and they like, nah, I want to get in the woods. I want to camp. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you, because I'm in the forest right now, so you could kind of get a logistical idea of, what the open expanse of land out here affords you. Yeah, I may have a plug for the flights. You gotta holler at me off of this thing. But I mean, this is an open field. This is like this open field right here. This is like baseball and stuff like that. But let me see if I can give you another experience. This field that I'm walking to, this gives you more of an idea what this open field idea is like. The land that Dr. Supreme is on, it's in the woods though. You feel me? Like you're gonna be going in the woods, but it's a safe environment. And like I said, we're going to do everything that we need to do as men to make sure that there's a level of protection, a layer of security, right? Especially if we know that our sisters are going to be out there. You know, you men, you should be able to handle your business. But for the wizards, you know, we don't want to be too intrusive with the security detail or what have you. But we're going to have something out there just to make sure that you guys are safe and secure. And there's nobody or nothing that's on the land that's not supposed to be there, right, that can impede on your safety. So as long as you're comfortable and relaxed and you can be at peace, that's what matters most. So how do you provide that? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a nice, beautiful little creek. But yeah, you know, it's just beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And I've always wanted to live in a forest. I've wanted to live in a tree house and just call it a wrap. I did the city thing. I'm cool on that. You know, give me a dwelling inside of a forest and we Gucci. So this is like an open field. You know what I'm saying? And if you can envision different tents, right? Different tents and what have you. You know, you got your own thing. Some people want to be in the shade. Some people might want to be along the sides or what have you. But a nice open field, right? Where you can frolic, gallivant, just do your thing. Yeah, the folks be living in the trees. My lady be telling me about HGTV. I'm definitely going to look at that because, yeah, I want to live in the trees too. You know, when I seen the Ewok village in Star Wars, I was sold as a youth. Yeah, I very much want to live in the trees. Yeah, but open land, you know what I'm saying? Inside of a peaceful environment such as this, where, like I said, you don't have to worry about anything. There's going to be a layer of security provided, you know? And the land that you'll be staying on in Stockbridge is not too far from the venue. So maybe we'll get a shuttle service, you know what I'm saying, so that people can go to and fro, hit the event, come back to the land, and just relax, chill out. If there's an after party, you might want to hit that. But yeah, you know, getting you to and fro, getting you back to where you need to be, allowing you to relax and recharge, you know, then you rinse and repeat. You do it again. And before you know it, you know, unfortunately, the weekend will be over and it's time to go back into the matrix. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is where I come for my slice of peace daily. If I can make it out here daily, you know, it's a very peaceful, calming, serene environment. And it just reminds me of the garden, right? When I think about this concept that they tell you that life started in the garden, you're like, okay. What's that garden field? Yeah, shout out to the Leos. I know a few people whose born day is that weekend, and they're all amazing people. You know what I'm saying? So that period and that patch of time, that's an amazing period of time. You know what I'm saying? Very historical. That's the birthday of hip hop is August 11th, 1973. Some people say that's a generic birthday, but nonetheless, it's the birthday, it's the operable birthday that we have to work with to track and trace the timeline and the lifeline of hip hop. So August 10th and 11th, that will be the last weekend of the 50th year of hip hop as well. Shout out to Hip Hop 50. And that's a perfect segue. Yes, that's a perfect segue to our next phase of our conversation, which of course is going to be Kendrick Lamar, because I haven't spoken to you guys since that concert, and I would like to have a conversation about some of my observations, because it was historic. You feel me? It was historic. So, who saw the Amazon live of the Pop Out concert? Right? Because, you know, some of you guys are too cool. Some of you guys are too cool. So I put a post up yesterday, and I was speaking about Serpent Mound. And Serpent Mound is in Ohio. Shout out to all of my Ohio family. You Ohioans, man, y'all are some special people as well. I don't know what they put in the water. I know what they put in the water. Ohio is a in the indigenous times, Ohio was called a breadbasket of the country because they had the ability to ionize the atmosphere of Ohio, and Ohio was a very wet and green place, right? This is where they grew a lot of the food at. That's why the seed banks to this day are still located in Ohio. So Ohio is special because the land is special. So the people are always tethered to the land. You know what I'm saying? Just like Georgia. Georgia makes some amazing people because this is an amazing piece of real estate. The land here, the red clay, which has a very high iron concentration. And anytime you have an iron content in soil, iron attracts all other minerals to it. So when you find iron out here, when you find red clay, you can find gold as well, right? The first gold rush took place in Georgia, in the North Georgia mountains. That's what led to the Trail of Tears, right? Or the Indian Removal Act by Andrew Jackson in the 20s. And that's what led to the Trail of Tears, right? So, yes, Ohio is a beautiful place. And I had the opportunity in 2010 to travel to the city of Ohio to go to Serpent Mound with an individual named Noble Lampoot. And it was a few of us. We took a few of us out there, and we went to the Serpent Mound. And the reason I was doing that is because I was preparing to do a lecture here in Atlanta in 2010 with Professor Griff called Fear of a Black Planet. I think I opened up for them. And oh yeah, we'll never sleep on a Scorpio. And for that exact reason, because I wasn't sleeping on a Scorpio back then in 2010, I did a lecture before Drake dropped, because Drake dropped in June. And I think we probably did the lecture maybe a week or two before the album dropped. And we were just addressing and forewarning the people about the energy that was about to come with this individual who they was branding the new religion of hip hop. And I'm like, before you do that, right? Because he hadn't even dropped a project, an album, or anything yet, and they was calling him the future of hip hop. And I'm like, damn, what are they prepping? What are they promoting here? And just me being studious at the time, I was a student of metaphysics, and I was doing my research, and I was like, Drake is short for Draco. And at that time, I was studying into the metaphysics of hip hop, and that's when I bumped into the fact that, the iconography around Kanye West, and I started running his gematria and everything, and I found out that his gematria equaled the word north. Hence the fact that he got a daughter named Northwest. His gematria equals north. And I'm like, okay, the North Star is Polaris, which is Ursa Minor, and his iconography always shows him appearing as a bear, right? So I'm like, oh, so this is the precession of the equinox. This is a cosmic narrative taking place. And I was able, with my insight, to figure this out in 2010. You know what I'm saying? Before this individual dropped his album. So we kind of like foresaw that this Draco energy was coming, found out that the young man was a Scorpio, and he was also from the North. He was from Canada. And I'm like, yo, this is about to like shake shit up. You know what I mean? So we went to Serpent Mound, and we kind of did our own little ceremony out there to subvert that energy that we knew that was coming in with this person who they were saying was the new religion of hip hop. And he also happened to be, from the Zionist persuasion. And I don't know if it's so, I don't like name calling. I don't like putting people in places that are undeserving. You know what I'm saying? Let me say this about him, right? Because I don't want to be unjust, especially to a Scorpion, right? Just because somebody is of the Jewish faith does not make them a Zionist, right? And I throw the term around, and it's easy to beat up on Aubrey. You feel me? But I don't think that that's what this is about. You know what I mean? And because of the way that the industry is set up, I don't even wholeheartedly blame him. It might just the way that he was packaged and promoted and pushed on us. And if there was, and there's a clear Zionist control of the industry, Lyre Cohen, and the rest of all of these dudes, they're Zionists, right? Universal Music Group is the #1 donator to the IDF and to Zionist causes, with Lucien Grange being the #1 Zionist in the industry. I mean, you can Google this. This is what they say about themselves. So imagine if you're a Zionist and you're already controlling $1 trillion industry. You know what I'm saying? These people, you don't get a lot of resistance outside of Professor Griff or a few other people. We're speaking back then when there was an attempt to explain or expose the Zionist control of the industry. Professor Griff got kicked out of Public Enemy for speaking on it. And they kind of isolated him from the industry because of his audacity to say something, right? So the industry has somewhat been at a disadvantage. They've been made to fight with their hands tied behind their backs. Or when we say the industry, we're meaning the melanated people that are trapped on the other side of quote unquote industry. You're contractually obligated to do X, Y, and Z. You're the workers, you're not the boss, right? So the workers, and then you got the people, because the workers are now creating content that is going to get upsold to the audience, which is us. So he gets packaged and promoted in a way in which is consistent with the fact that who wouldn't want to see one of their own on? Who wouldn't want to see one of their own in control? I know that I would, right? So I don't even wholeheartedly blame him for being, for him in the right place at the right time, for him, right? Because it fits smoothly into an agenda. But yeah, you know, it's like when you see a dude get beat up so bad, then you start becoming melancholy. I think that that's the place. I might be at that place in my observation of things right now, cause I'm like, they beat the brakes off this boy. You know what I'm saying? They beat the brakes off this boy, and he got in over his head. And I don't even blame his as much as I blame the community. Right? The community did not keep him consistent in regards to his obligation to community, because we have not been consistent with our obligations to our own community. So when Drake came in, he came in as a conscious artist. How do I know? I remember because I received the first tape in '07, right? And he was rapping conscious back then. He was a backpacker that had a nice flow. I never seen an episode of Degrassi, so I didn't understand the fact that he came over from TV. You know what I mean? I didn't know that he was an actor. I just knew that he was a half Gooish kid who had a nice flow, who was speaking about conscious topics to a degree. He had an interesting twist to it though. So, you know, later on when he gets into the industry and the industry starts transforming him, and him being a Scorpio, automatically, you know, his slant is to target the women, right? They're gonna buy into it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the niggas light skin. You feel me? So, you know, that became his angle. But when I listened to his introduction, and I think that this is a wonderful pinnacle point to have a conversation and an observation, because it's going to come down to the responsibility not only of the collectiveness but also the individual. The collectiveness will be community, and the individual is the artist. And when you think about that song that he made with Kendrick, right, Poetic Justice, and the energy that he came with initially when he came into the game, the way that he was speaking to our women, because you're speaking to our women, you're speaking to our daughters, you're speaking to our sisters, you're speaking to the aunties and all of that, right? And his initial introduction was a respectable one, right? He was talking to them, but he wasn't talking to them disrespectfully. He was very poetic. You know what I'm saying? He had an approach, and he had an angle where he was able to talk to these women and not talk down to them. You feel me? Not talk down to them. He was able to talk to them. And he almost like, you would think that he was a woman, the shit that he knew about women in their minds, and the way that he was able to poetically translate that. He was talking to them at a time when niggas was talking down to them, and niggas was talking at or about them, but not a lot of people was talking to them. He came along, and that was the slant or the variance of consciousness that he adapted, was his ability to talk to women in a way that showed a level of vulnerability. Because remember, he's coming also on the tail end of the emo rap era. And the emo rap era was men emoting about, right, how they felt about their interactions with women, or their unwillingness to develop game in order to speak to the modern woman who was kind of closing the door to game goofies. He came with a different conversation, and the way that he was speaking, you swore that he knows something, right? So he was able to he got in, right? And they was able to see that from the door. So this is his first album. This is his first rap cover. This is in 2010. And they said, Drake, hip hop's new religion. How are you going to Christian somebody that? And they ain't even drop a project yet. He just was riding off of the strength of the mixtape, So Far Gone. So he gets in the game, and once he gets with Wayne and other elements of hip hop, maybe Rick Ross and them, right? Maybe when he goes to Miami, maybe when he goes to Houston, maybe when he goes to Atlanta, and all of these places are different traps with strip clubs, right? So you get introduced to the strip club culture, and you start interacting and interfacing with the melanated woman. You start seeing a different variance of her power, because it's all power at the end of the day. The woman has the P power, right? At the end of the day. Now, that's not being dismissive of the power that men have, right? I'm not playing one against the other. I'm just saying, you know, somebody said the hat looks Photoshop. It damn sure do, right? It damn sure do. It damn sure do. It looked like they had to Photoshop the hat on to give it a slant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's some power in the P, and let's just be realistic, because we wouldn't be out here doing the shit that we doing if there wasn't no power there. You know what I'm saying? So let's just be honest, right? Yes, there's power there, or we wouldn't be having the conversation that we're having, right? We wouldn't be having a conversation about men losing their shit. We weren't having a conversation about the responsibility that comes with power. So there's peen power and there's P power. You feel me? And we're powerful together, but we cancel one another out when we're attempting to utilize our power to cancel one another out. And that's what the music has become, you know, because of men's interactions with strippers, which can be just to some degree all about pleasure, right? To some degree, it can be, again, an exchange of a power dynamic. You feel me? But what it isn't, you know, it's not progressively building up the thing that we need the most, which is family, right? And I shirk when I have gone into these establishments, cause I hope my girl ain't on this line, but I've fell in love with this, you know, I've fallen in love with the strippers before. I don't know if that's the right word. I have seen things in these young women and I have broken the bro code, you know what I'm saying, by taking time to tell them things about themselves that necessarily, you know, brothers don't pull up to them venues to have those conversations with them. I would be the dude in the corner that's not going in his pocket spending no bread and getting more attention from strippers, because they be like, oh, you not stripping, I mean, you not tipping the strippers, which, you know what I'm saying, like, what are you here for? And they start asking me questions, and then, you know, 5 or 10 minutes in the conversation, they want to give a brother's number, and then, you know, you seeing them outside of the situation and you having a conversation with them just to see, you know, who they are as a person. Because these are still people at the end of the day, and I'm a people person. I like people watching. Let's say that. I'm a people watcher, right? So I'm super analytical. I think I got some Virgo placements because I just watch people to make observations, analytical observations on them. And when I get them outside of those venues and you get to speaking to them, you know what I'm saying? You learn things about them that's pretty much, you know, consistent across the board. And yeah, so I've had great relationships with what they call, you know, strippers or women of the night and things of that nature. And I'm able to forge and formulate that relationship based on me understanding the power dynamic that's at work. Right? I'm not looking to get, you know what I'm saying? It's not transactional, so I'm not looking to get in their drawers. You feel me? I want to know what they know about their power. You know what I'm saying? That's, to me, was more of the attractive thing than anything else. Getting to know them and know what they know about their power. And if they don't know the power, you turn some of that power up. Hopefully, you know, with the thoughts that they won't go batshit crazy once they start realizing what that power entails. But it's like such a waste. It's like, if you're just gonna be in here popping your pee, really understood what your power was, You feel me? Yeah, you could say Captain Save 'em. I've saved a few. I took interest in a young lady that I met stripping in the 90s, right? Because she was from where my people was from, St. Croix or the Virgin Islands. And I took interest in her, which means that I was working with her outside of that establishment, having regular conversations, hearing her out. Just sometimes you just got to be the person that's willing to listen, right? Because yes, they're broken, right? So I found out that she comes from sexual abuse. I found out that she was active as a youth, right? Meaning that she was interested in sex, and she got trains run on her that she didn't sign up for. She was game goofy. She didn't have a father in her life. She didn't have nobody to teach her the game. Like, yo, you know, this is how these little niggas gonna set you up. She had got the short end of the stick on more than a few occasions. But she was a beautiful young lady with a great spirit. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up, you know, just working with her in terms of like pouring into her. And she ended up going to college and graduating, and she ended up working for the senator of New York City. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, before long, she was able to influence legislation and all of that. And just revisiting them conversations, I'd be like, did you ever think that you would see yourself here? Was you know what I'm saying? Was this on your list of accomplishments? Could you see yourself in this? And she had never saw herself like that. She never had those plans for herself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, damn, like I gave her a little attention and a little bit of my time. You know what I mean? And look what was able to come out of that just by reminding her where the real power was at. You know what I mean? Then I'm like, if you got what you got to make niggas go in their pocket and break you off, you know what I'm saying? Like, go for the gusto. Turn the camera around on yourself and just see yourself as power. She didn't see the power dynamic. She was exchanging, dances, and I also found out she was exchanging her portal, her vessel, her body for dollars. And that shit she was doing was because of, the numbness that she felt from, being, abused and dealt with in ways in which she felt like she was a throwaway. But I'm like, you ain't that. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, he blowing it up. He blowing me. I've saved a few. I think that they're worthy of being saved. You know what I mean? I never met a woman that was a throwaway. Every woman has a level of majesticness and magic to them. Now, you know what I mean? You can't work with any and everyone. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's someone for everyone to work with. But yeah, you'll notice that there's some that are worthy of work. There's some that are worthy of your time. There's some that are worthy of a conversation. And it's like, if I'm gonna game you out of your drawers, you know what I'm saying? It's like I could take that same energy and game you to see yourself as game worthy. You feel me? Like, if you can build her up to get her to a degree where she would drop her drawers for you, then you can also build her up and send her out there in the world to do some pretty dynamic shit. And that was just my experience. So I'm saying all that to say, when I saw how he prioritized his relationship with strippers, and he started his interaction and his experience with our women, especially the women from North America, him coming from Canada. I'm sure that the woman that he was meeting in Canada or Toronto was a total different variant than a woman he was meeting in a strip club in Houston or Atlanta, right? And shout out to my homegirl Malaya. He used to date her when she was a stripper in Houston. And she would talk to me sometimes about their interaction. You feel me? And, who she knew him to be as a Scorpio. The things that he was interested in versus the things that he wasn't. Yes, and he's more so like a dork trying to figure it out. A good kid from a good family. His own aspect of that family being broken, but being introduced to a culture that is packaged and presented to people that are outside of the culture that makes it seem like we don't really care about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Or our women are for sale. Or our women are easily inaccessible. You know what I'm saying? Or the men don't care enough about the women to take time with them, to have a conversation with them, to provide a layer of protection. You feel me? So people come around and they come into the culture and they feel like they can do whatever they want to do because they see the people that they're looking up to treating women like shit. And I don't have, I've never been, I don't know the nature of Lil Wayne's relationships with young women. But as an observer, as a fan of the music, and as a person in the audience, like the majority of have been part of that captive audience of Lil Wayne's career, he talks about women crazy. Right? He talks about women crazy. And the way that he's been introduced to women, you would have to think from the age of 11 or 12, you know what I mean? When he was around Baby and them, he got introduced to women through groupies. He got introduced to sexuality, if you will, at a very young age, but it was introduced to him through women who was busting it wide, right? Doing something strange for some change, right? To niggas that he was with that was ballers. You know what I'm saying? At that time. And the girlies are free when the crack costs money in the environments like that. And somebody said Baby was playing with them boys, and I wouldn't doubt that. When I met Baby, when we was with a sister named Jackie Rowe, who was Mike Tyson's sister, Mike Tyson was source all the women for these dudes when they came through. You know what I'm saying? She was like an unofficial madam. And I don't want, damn, that just sounds wrong. She was not prostituting these women, right? She just had a contingency of women that was always around her. And when the artist would pull up, right, if a nigga was checking for a shorty that was with her, she would let shorty know, yo, this nigga's interested in you. This what it's hitting for and this what it ain't. There was no transactional exchanges taking place. It'd just be like, yo, he want to hang out with you. Don't fall in love with the nigga though, right? Because he only got one night in town. You know what I'm saying? This is not a relationship type of thing. She introduced Baby though to these Flatbush shorties, right? These Jamaican yardies and shit like that. Yeah, she would be considered the Flatbush Griselda. And when she introduced Baby to the Flatbush variants of the Rude Gals, that nigga fell in love. He fell in love. You know what I'm saying? And, shit. There was a time when conversations like this wasn't allowed because you would be considered a chatty patty, right? Because you're talking about other people's business. But we don't live in that space no more, right? I think that Jaguar Wright eliminated all of those barriers. So you would overhear what the women would say. Because I worked with Jackie. I was her assistant. You know what I'm saying? You would hear what the women would say when they came back from interacting with these individuals. And the main thing that they said about Baby, they was like, yeah, that nigga pulls the KY jelly out. he never left home without it, right? He wouldn't be caught without it. So, you know, y'all niggas, y'all ever been to New Orleans? You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the NO, I got ultimate respect for them. But you see like 5 and 8-year-old boys twerking and shit like that. It's part of their culture. And you got to understand, again, our interaction and interfacing with the French. Any place that you go where you see our people was susceptible, where they allow French to blend into their society. Shout out to Haiti. They chased them crazy bald heads up out of there. But any other place that you see Portuguese influence on our people, or you see French influence on our people, you know what I'm saying? You're going to notice shit. You're going to notice shit. When I went to Essence and shit like that, and I seen the Fridas of the world, the big Fridas of the world, I seen 6 and 7 foot transitional men with gang flags. And these niggas was cut up like a bag of dope, right? And it looked like they'll knock you out and take something if they wanted it. These was 6, 7 foot solid gumps. And you couldn't even you just yeah, look away, nigga. Look away. Don't look at them niggas and laugh at them in their face. Just if this ain't your slice of cake, look away. Act like you don't see this shit. So, understanding that environment, right? Understanding that environment, you know what I mean? And me just seeing the shit that I seen in New Orleans, I was like, okay, you know, shit different down here. You know what I'm saying? These niggas give it up totally different. So, y'all seen Baby kissing Wayne, you know what I'm saying? You gotta understand, the men that have had the illest treatment towards these women, and you seeing it now with the Diddy situation, the majority of them are switch hitters, right? How can the men who treat women like they hate them normally do, right? Because they either want to be them, you feel me? Or they hate the fact that they see their mother in these women, and they have a love and hate relationship with their mother based on their family dynamics. You know what I'm saying? But normally, this is the shit that you find out. The ones that be wilding these women up, especially in the background, in the dark, because I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot of shit come out about these dudes. Yeah, they have a very aggressive energy and attitude towards women that they're often switch hitting. Look at Dr. Dre, look at Diddy, you know what I'm saying? And look at the shit that seeps into the collective. You know, whatever Baby and them was doing to Wayne, right? Wayne was super aggressive on them hoes. Okay? So, yeah, that's my time. Like, they only giving me an hour. I was going to talk about Stonehenge and its connection. I did a post. Y'all can check the post out. You know what I mean? I ain't even really get into, yes, you know, the Kendrick situation. They not like us. We got to circle the block and do this at another time because it's a lot to unpack. And I was just revving my engines up, you know, to speak about Aubrey and his missteps. And I hope that boy don't try to drop no new music. You know what I mean? I hope he's not listening to his detractors that are telling him he need to get back in the game. No, sit this one out, little nigga. Trust me when I tell you. Sit this one out. You feel me? It's a cultural revolution taking on. Yeah, me and Red, we're going to have to unpack this. All right? So I see y'all if y'all pulling up to the Juneteenth festivities at Piedmont. Right? Yeah, nigga. Bring a flashlight with you because when the lights get low at Piedmont, it's a whole nother situation. All right? So with that, y'all, peace.